Hello, Keith here. We're doing the playthrough of the Panzer Blitz and Panzer Leader scenarios of the original scenarios. I'm on the Panzer Leader situation 10. The Allies are going. It's the bottom of turn 2. Now, in this scenario, is an attack on Arnhem, and the Germans have, surrounded Arnhem, and the Allies are in the city defending Arnhem against the German counterattacks. The Allies mainly have infantry and engineers in the city. The Germans have a mixed force of armor and infantry. During the Germans' turn, they went right up to the cities. What the Germans are doing is their infantry's trying to go into the city and fight. They're also spotting for the armor. I'm keeping the armor back 2 or 3 hexes so the armor can't be attacked by the Allies. The goal for the Germans is to control the all the hexes of Grancels, which is the town. The quicker the Germans do it, the higher the level of victory. In order to get a marginal victory, they have to control all by turn 8. I'm having the Allies. So it's the Allies' turn. That's a combat phase of the Allies' turn. And again, most of these are going to be close assaults. I only have one. I don't think I have any of my guns that can fire. Maybe here. Line of sight. Yeah. Yeah, they're spotted. So I can fire from here. Let me just put a line of sight. So the British do have one 6-pounder, and they're going to use that 6-pounder. Use a line of sight marker. There you go. To do that shot right there, that unit is spotted. Let me just move in. Okay. So within the city here of Grancels, there's a river, and it divides the city by 2. Most of the city is, well, upward in this picture, up and to the right. And there's also a spot of the city that's below the river. The Germans have got one unit into the actual city, and across the river there's some British 6-pounder anti-armor guns, and they're going to fire at the German unit that's in the city. The firepower is 9. Oops. And the defense is 8. Units in cities are considered armored targets, so their attack is doubled. So it's going to be 18 to 8. So it's going to be a 2-to-1 attack. So I'm going to go to the chart. Let's see, terrain effects table, target elevation table. That's not weapon effectiveness. So I'm just double checking. Firing weapon is armored. Target is armored at half range or less. It is doubled. So it's going to be a 2-to-1 attack. Now I have some infantry, but they're not going to do a regular attack. They're going to wait till the close combat phase. So I have to roll a 2-to-1 attack, and I don't believe there are any die roll modifiers. Where's the dice? Right here. 3. So that's a dispersal. So it shook that unit up that was in the city. The British armor firing at that infantry unit. Infantry, I think that's a platoon. So they're just dispersed. Now, I have a mortar unit in the city. The mortar is going to do direct fire. It's going to be a 1-to-3 attack against this unit right next to it. So I would need a 1 to have any effect. No effect. So they fired. That doesn't. Control F. Get used to my keys here. There you go. Okay, so they fired. And I don't think I have any other regular fires. So there's no air. We're going to go on to the movement phase. I don't think I want to move anybody, just maybe. All right, so I'm looking at the city. All right, in the city, I have 3 engineering. I have the Germans on the outskirts of the city, in particular the north, but there's some in the. I'm in the by north. I mean top of the board. The way this map is backwards. So there's a large German infantry force at the top of the screen, and they disrupted some British units. I have 3 engineering platoons. I believe those are platoons. 3 dots. I'd have to. Oh, why not? I'll look it up. I should know this, but 3 dots is. I think it's a platoon. I want to say 3 dots is a platoon, but I don't have. Well, I looked it up. It's not that. Okay, so you have the 3 German. Yeah, company, because the company is going to be 1 line above, and a platoon is 3 dots. A squad is 2 dots, and a weapons team is 1 dot. Okay, I think that's it. So those are platoons. And I have my engineers guarding bridges into the part of the city, in the part of the sea that's north or to the upper right of the river, the bigger part of the city. They're not under immediate attack right now, and I don't think they're going to be. So I'm thinking I might redeploy them so they can get involved in a close assault. Possibly. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to move those units 1, 2. I'm going to move my other one 1, 2. So every unit that does a close assault in this part of the city will have an engineer unit in support of it. So, yep. There's another infantry here. I don't want to move that infantry just yet. Okay, so I believe that's it for movement. Yes, it is. So now we do the close assault phase. Take one quick. Yeah. All right. So on the southern part of the city, the smaller part, that 1 German platoon has its foothold in the city, but got dispersed by the anti-armor gun across the British 6-pounder across the river. They're going to be attacked from 2 sides by the British. Now the British platoons they're each 2 attack, and the German defense, a platoon defense is 8. So let's look at the modifiers. Terrain effects chart. Combat. So the armored targets. 1 to attacker's dice roll. So it's 1 to attacker's dice roll, and it's a close assault. So it's going to be 4 to 8. Just look up the close assault rules. Close assault tactics, okay? Subtract 2 from the dice roll. Okay, so it's going to be Infantry against infantry against an armored target. Okay. Okay, so we'll have infantry against armor, but the only way infantry can attack armor is in a close assault. So it's infantry against armor. Cat attacks only at half range or less. There is no modification. So it's going to be a 1 to 2 minus 2, but it's in a city, so it's going to be the odds are 1 to 2 with a minus 1 dice roll. I'm going to roll 3. So the net effect is going to be a 2. So it's a 1 to 2 odds, and effect is 2. So that's the dispersal. So that's not going to have any effect on that unit because they're already dispersed, and it wasn't a heavy disperse. So no effect right there. And I'm just going to mark these as fired. I just want to keep track of which units did my close assault. All right, so now we go to the bigger part of the city where the engineers are going to help out. So in this part of the city, I have 3 British units. I got to be careful stacking too. Let's see. Okay, 4 units. Okay, I have to be careful because you can actually stack 4 units in this game right here, which is interesting. I'm used to the old Panzer Blitz rolls. You know, you get in habits where you can only stack 2 if it's Russian and 3 if it's German. But yes, you can stack 4 units here, so there's no problem with stacking limits. Okay. So this rifle unit attack 2, 5, armor against infantry. So I have to see what armor is against. So in this attack, so the infantry is the German infantry that are in the open, that are acting as spotters for the German armor, which is back in the woods, back on the plains. And in this hex, I have a rifle platoon, an engineering platoon, and another 6-pounder armor. So only I should have had the 6-pounder armor fire in the fire phase, because they can't, 6-pounder armor can't take part in the close assault. So that's a wasted opportunity. But I'm gonna roll on, or do I want to go back and just do it? A purist in a tournament sense would say you can't have that armor fire because its turn is over. You know, because I moved on. So I'm just going to go on. All right, so that missed an opportunity to fire. They weren't paying attention. They were on a tea break. I don't know. So the total attack will be 5. It'll be 5 to 8. It'll be a 1 to 2 with the -2 modifier. Close assault. So it's 1 to 2 with a -2 modifier, but they're engineers helping close assault. So I'll double check that, the rules for that. Close assault with engineers. All right. Okay, so the odds go to the next higher ratio. So it's going to be a 1 to 2 minus 2, but it's going to be a 1 to 1 minus 1 because you have engineers there. So I'm going to roll the dice. And there will be no effect. I rolled a 6. And that's going to end the action for that hex. Now I have right here, going along into the road to the city, I have basically the same thing here. I have 5 to 8, which is 1 to 2. If I have engineers, comes 1 to 1, so it's 1 to 1 minus 2. So I have an engineer unit and an engineer platoon and a rifle platoon in the city are attacking and assaulting, are attacking a German rifle unit in the open. So it's going to be a 1 to 1 minus 2. And that'll be a 1 minus 2, so that's going to be -1, and they eliminate that unit. So that's a very successful close assault. Right. And their mark is fired. Yep. So without those engineers there, it just would have been a heavy dispersal. If that unit had been an infantry unit, it would have been heavy dispersal. So moving along, right next, a little bit further north or toward the top, I have an engineer platoon by itself attacking a rifle platoon in the open. The odds are 1 to 3. It'll become 1 to 2. Engineers firing by themselves. Do they get the close assault modifier? See, no, they don't. So because they're not with infantry, they have to be stacked with infantry to get the bonus. So it's going to be 1 to 3 minus 2. Roll. And that will have no effect. I will mark that fired. Okay, so I believe that's it. So all the dispersals will disappear for the allies. And I'll get rid of all the fire markers. Control F. And then it will be the Germans' turn. It will be on German turn 3. Okay, so we'll go to the German turn 3. I'll make sure I flip that. So it's the Axis turn. Now, so now it's a close combat phase. Okay. So the Germans have to clear out the city as quickly as possible. I'm in the attack phase. So I'm wondering about, does each hex attack by itself? And can you combine hex from multiple hexes? Can you combine attacks from multiple hexes? Range of the attacking unit. Okay. Okay, yeah, so you can combine. So, as a matter of fact, you have to do that. So all its fire against a particular hex has to be combined. So let's say I want to fire at this one right here. They defend at 6. They're armored. They defend at 6 and they're an armored target. Now, so the total I'm going to be firing at this will be this one right here. Be this one. It'll be this one. Okay. So those are the ones that are going to be firing at that hex. So I have, so in the woods, away from the city, firing into hex into the city that's been spotted by the infantry surrounding that area will be a Panzer 3J and two 20 millimeter howitzers. The Panzer 3J is an armored against an armored city's armored targets. So it'll be doubled because it's less than half range, so it becomes 16. And the howitzers become normal. So it'll be 24-6, so it'll be 4-1 plus 1. So it's a 4-1 plus 1. So that British platoon in the city is going to 4-1 plus 1, 6. So that's good for them. For the British, 6 is just a dispersal. But that's not bad because there's 4 platoons outside that hexagon, outside that part of the 4 German platoons outside that part of the sea that's contains some 1 British platoon, and those German platoons are going to be able to finish off that hex in close combat. So I'm going to go down now. So my next target is going to be an engineering unit in the city. I'm going to have the GW-38 fire, the STUG, I believe, and a Tiger fire. And also, howitzer, I don't think doesn't have line of sight. So that will be 10. The 15 will be doubled to 30, so I'll be 40. 40 to 10 plus 1, 4-1 plus 1. 4-1 plus 1 is 3. And that eliminates that unit. So that engineering platoon is eliminated. And those 2 units, the Tiger 1 and the STUG 38, is going to be marked as fired. Okay. So next up, I have a hex, and in it, it contains, the hex in the sea contains a British rifle platoon and a British engineering platoon. And then in the city, it'll be +1 for the defense. But I got plenty against them. I'm going to fire against both of them. So I have a howitzer, which is 20. And then a Panzer 3J and a Tiger. Panzer 3J is 8, double to 16. The Tiger is 15, double to 30. That means 46. 46 plus the howitzer at 66. So it's going to be 66 to 16. I believe that's 4 to, it'll be another 4-1 plus 1. So the Germans are getting maximum odds on all their attacks. 4-1. And again, just dispersed. The British are being very stalwart in their defense, so to speak. So it's Shift D. Shift D. And Shift D. All right, and I'll mark those. So fired. Use Control F, yeah, and Control F. Okay. So the British are doing well. They're getting some good rolls. Like if both of those hadn't been dispersals, if they would have been eliminated, the Germans would really be in a really good shape. But those British are holding out for those turns. So now down south, we have a mortar. I also have 2 infantry units over there which have a move jet. They're going to have to move up and do a close assault. But in this hex, we can move those fired markers. Fired. Okay. So in this hex, we have an armored 6-pounder, and we have 2 infantry units, so the predominant value is infantry. And it'll be 18 infantry, 18, it'll be an armored target because it's in a C, so it'll be an 18 armored target for defense. And I have this armored attacking an armored target, the 88 millimeter, the big gun. It's an armored, powerful weapon, so it's going to be attacking an armored. So it's going to be a 2-to-1. Yep. It's going to be a 2-to-1 plus 1 because it's an 88. So 5, 2-to-1 with the 5. That's a dispersal. And it dispersed all of those. And that was a good attack because it softened them up. And now there's one German platoon, and they'll be able to maybe close assault that. We'll see. And I'm looking for any other armored units. I know we do have some. Also have, okay. So over here, so I guess this is kind of in reserve, and this is a small town to the south of the town the British are in, and that small town, the German have a mortar unit, and they have a half-track with a rifle, so I guess I'm using that as a reserve. But anyways, let's fire on the British. So there's a British unit spotted in the city by the German unit in the city. It's going to be 6, an armored target doubles it, so it's going to be 12. And a howitzer is just going to be 10, 10 to 12. And a Panzer 4 is going to be 14. It's going to be 28, 38 to 12. It's going to be a 3-to-1 plus 1. Did I just roll another 1? Yeah, I did. So it's going to be 3-to-1. I rolled a 2. And that's going to eliminate that unit. Okay. Those 2 units fired. So the Germans are wearing down the British, but it's a very slow process. And are there any other direct fires? I would say no. A couple wagons. So, still to throw into the battle, I have Hidden in the Woods. I have 2 rifle squads. Haven't been thrown in yet. I have a wagon and a rifle squad. This is for the Germans. And I have a half-track and a rifle platoon. So I have 4 rifle platoons and a half-track that I haven't thrown into the fray, into the city yet. Okay. So for the movement phase, I have no problem where my infantry are right now. Do I want to move my infantry? That's the question. No, I don't want to move my infantry yet. There is opportunity fire. Panzer leader. Leave. Opportunity fire. I think it's an optional rule. Yes, it is. And I am playing with it. 1/4 or more of its movement continuously unless a friendly unit would be attacked by that unit using direct fire. It's a wagon. And the idea is to bring the wagon forward. It's to bring the wagon forward with the infantry platoon, drop the infantry platoon off next to the city, which it can easily do. but there's one rifle platoon which can fire at it. And it would just be a 2-to-1. So first of all, if you're Germans, am I sending that unit forward? And the answer is going to be yes. I am going to send it forward. 1, 2, 3. Now, next question. Can I unload the wagon? Transporting units. Okay, so it can move half its movement. So it's 1.5 points. It's on the road, so that is half its movement. So it can do that and then unload. It's three total. The German wagon has 3 total movement points. Moving along a road, each hex is 1/2 a point. 3 of those is 1.5. So it uses up half its movement points to get to the hex it wants to drop off its rifle platoon, and the rifle platoon gets dropped off in the open. But before rifle platoon gets dropped off, there's an infantry platoon in the city, and it's going to fire. It's going to have 2-to-1 odds. Infantry against a C against transport. 2-to-1. I believe that's infantry against infantry. Okay, yep. So it's going to have an attack at 2-to-1 odds. Unfortunately for the Germans, the roll is 1. Oops. 2-to-1 odds, roll is 1. That eliminates that wagon before the wagon even has a chance to unload its passengers. So things are going pretty well for the British defense here. Okay. Now I have these infantry units, and they can do quick time. So these 2 infantry units, and the infantry units hiding in the wood line, they're going to cross the open ground next to the city. There's nobody that can fire at them because the only people that could have fired at them were dispersed. So they're actually going to move forward 1, 2. They're going to use quick time. And I have to roll for each of them to see if they're dispersed. I roll a 6. Oh, 2 6s. That's either good or bad. So I have to see if they're dispersed because I'm using the quick time. Yeah, so they were dispersed. So I got them in position. Unfortunately, they're too tired and they're too disorganized to do any attack this turn. We'll have to wait till next turn. Okay, so they moved, they're dispersed. Let's see. Lastly, I have this half track. I just double check to make sure that I did have that half track. Okay, so it's half track in the city. I have it kind of like as a mobile reserve. It moves 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. It can drive up to the city. I have this half track in a town south of the city. It can drive up to the city next to it and drop off a unit. It has 10 movement points. It easily has enough movement points to move up to the city and drop off the unit. And there are 2 rifle squads in the city which can fire at it. Let's see if the rifle squads in the city fire at it. They're marked as fire. They'd be marked as opportunity fire. Well, either way, I'm moving it up. That's going to be right there. So the movement's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. It's right there. All right. So now, do I want these two? Now, these two units have opportunity fire. Now, if the opportunity fire, will they still be able to use close assault next term? And what are their odds are going to be? Well, that half-track defense is an armored vehicle. And infantry can't attack armored vehicles unless it's in close combat. So now it unloaded the infantry. So those two units can do opportunity fire against an infantry, but that's 1 to 2. So those two units aren't going to do any opportunity fire. Okay. So things south of the river or don't look that bad. Things north of the river, the British are really hanging on. So they're getting a lot of dispersals, but they're not being eliminated. And the Germans have to eliminate them. Okay, so that's going to be it for the movement phase. Now for the close, well, let's see, movement phase still. I want to get maximum 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just calculating my odds. Okay, we're going to do the close assault phase. So, in the part of the smaller part of the city, south of the river, I have 2 German rifle platoons attacking 1 British rifle platoon in the town. 3 plus 3 is going to be 6. It's going to be a 1-to-1 with a -2 close assault, but +1 because it's a unit of city. So it's going to be a 1-to-1 -1. And it's going to be a 2, 1-to-1, 2. So that's going to be a dispersal. And 2 Germans. Okay, so right next to it, in the city, actually, I have a platoon against a platoon. I have a German rifle platoon close assaulting a British rifle platoon. It's going to be 1 to 2 odds, -1. So 1 to 2, 2. So that's also a dispersal. Getting some good results here. First, you're fired. I think what I should have did last turn, these units south of the river and the little part of the city should have, there was, I believe, 1 unit. Well, it would have been a 1-to-1 attack, so. All right, so that's it for them. For those 2 units. Now we're going to up here north. So it's a unit in a city hex. So you have a British platoon in a city hex. And it's going to have 4 units attacking it. So it's going to be 4 platoons against 1 platoon in a city. It's going to be a close assault into that city, It's going to be 2-to-1 -1. And I get a 3, so 2-to-1 with a 2. That's a DD, but they're already dispersed, so that eliminates that unit. Okay, so they did their job. I believe I may have 1 more close assault left. See, a lot of times when I listen to videos of people playing games, I'm either driving in my car or I'm reading something, or So I like descriptions, so I'm trying to give some descriptions for people who aren't looking at the screen right now. And that's why I try to give descriptions, and it kind of, the flow is kind of strange. Some might be strange for me All right, so I have a German rifle platoon attacking a mortar section, an A1mm mortar in a town. It'll be a 3-3. It'll be a 1-1, -1. I roll a 6, so that's going to be no effect. So that's going to be it. This scenario is actually turning out better than I thought it would. It is kind of an interesting scenario. I want to mark. So I just got to mark the German units that fired. I'm just removing the fired markers from the German units that fired. Oops. So that's going to be it for this turn. And like I said, I don't really know how my videos are to listen to. I hope they're not too bad. And I do try to be conscious of the fact that the people that are listening to these might not be, staring at the video screen as they're watching this. So okay, so that's it. There was 2 German dispersed units right there. They lose dispersal. So now we're going to go to the Allied part of turn 3. And that's it. So this is an interesting scenario. Basically, the Germans have to take this town. They have infantry come forward, act as spotters, and the armor is in back. Armor stands back while the infantry acts as spotters. Infantry goes into town and fights. Then I'll bring the armor into the town. The British got some good rolls here. So it's already turn 3. In order to get a marginal victory, the Germans still have 5 turns left. So at turn 5, to get a decisive victory, Germans have to control all by turn 5. That definitely isn't going to happen because we're on turn 3. So, and then the next thing is they get 7 turns to have the next level of victory. And I think the Germans might achieve a tactical victory. They might get in 7 turns, but we shall see. Anyways, thank you everybody for listening. And next time we come back, it'll be the Allies' turn in turn 3, the bottom of turn 3. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.